What would you say are the currently the biggest gaps in experience or knowledge in that in the large scale the utility industry? Would you say that it's, what are the main challenges that you face with regards to expertise? I mean, uh, it's a relatively new space, really. I guess it's only about 10 years old, probably. So where do we need to upskill, do you think, at least in the Australian utility scale solar industry?
Yeah, it's a good point. Like Australia's come a long way when you're looking back just 5 years ago, not much utility scale. And utility I consider like 10 meg plus has been built in Australia. So obviously not much experience was available. And
Mm,
when you're looking at then the years to come, 16, 17, largely driven by the ARENA first program, the large scale solar program, there was a lot of skills suddenly built through EPCs, through consultancies jumping in, and most were local. So that was really positive. I think here, from a skill space, we almost there. Like, I'm just sometimes worried about not having enough access to this skill space. Like, it should
mm,
be wider because we have so much more to do and to go. Like, we haven't reached the peak. Definitely not. And of course, like as explained before, there's new technologies coming in, batteries, and what's the skill base around batteries? Of course, it's there, but is it enough just to get us to the next level?
mm,
And looking back, like when we negotiated the RET down to 33,000 gigawatt hours or megawatt hours, like it was always a discussion about, can we deliver? Does the industry have like enough labor and resources? And everyone was really nervous. Today we know, like, yes, we delivered, but we should also be mindful of what's next. I see really a bit of a gap or something to improve is around commissioning. That's largely with the EPCs, and you're hearing it almost on a fortnightly basis. EPCs struggling with getting the system connected and operational because the grids, the network here is tricky. You need to know what you do. You need to work with AMO, the market operator, and
mm,
that's a skill which you can't bring from overseas. You have to develop it locally, and there's not too many really experts on the ground which can push you through. And more EPCs want to come into Australia, which don't
mm.
have the skill set. So there's always like a costly lesson learned in few of the first projects, and some of the EPCs then walk away or close shop, as you certainly seen on Renew Economy and or CS.
Yeah, and I guess that's an example of that would be RCR.
Yeah.
I think, was it last year or the year before? What do you know? What have you got an opinion on what happened there with that project, or what the lessons out of that were from the RCR project that finally, I guess, sent them under?
I mean, like we had, like before I joined Clenergy, like I was with Canadian Solar, and we had like in some of our first projects, like we had RCR. And even for RCR, these were some of the first solar projects, and they were not like that big, 15 meg and 30 meg, and
Mm-hmm.
but still, RCR, of course, was I needed to be like quite aggressive in the approach and got a good portfolio together. I think like at the end, 700 plus meg, and that's good, but you need to establish a good operation and across the board. And here, like I can't comment in details what happened exactly, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously when it folded end of 2018, that was really sad because there were thousands of people employed by RCR, and it was just before the Christmas period.
Mm.
Something sad, and others should just learn out of what happened, to the extent you know what exactly happening. But really, it's around like building a solar farm is no rocket science, as you certainly know. Like we got the solar terrace, and you pile and you build up your racking system or your single axis tracker and put the panels on it and wiring here and there. Well, I simplify it, but it's certainly not rocket science. Really, the tricky bit, and any EPC can do it, but the tricky bit is then like maintaining a very sometimes ambitious timeline in
Mm-hmm.
construction. And the last bit is really the testing and commissioning, bringing these systems into the grid and operational, and receiving the last tick from the market operator. This is all good, fine. This is where like many EPCs struggled to get it through. And of course, as soon as you delayed, you're paying liquidated damages, which can be like 20,000 per day or more. And that quickly clocks up and becomes expensive. And RCO had a massive liability at the end, and so did a few others.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be a very stressful time to be going through that, facing, until you get this fixed, facing up to $20,000 a day in liquidated damages.